Hi, my name is Dave Pullen. I want to welcome you to Portland Film Beat. My guest tonight is Miah Washburn. He's an actor. He is also a first sergeant in the Oregon Army National Guard with 2 deployments to Iraq and 2 deployments to Afghanistan. He's also an actor and a producer. His most notable roles, he was on Grimm, an Oregon Lottery commercial, a music video, and he was the lead character in the first South of Heaven film, Jake Darcy, and he's just started rehearsing today for the 3rd South of Heaven film. He's leading it, Jake Darcy. And in addition, he was the producer of a show that I was involved in out in Gresham, which led to me becoming a producer, which led to me starting Portland Film Beat. So Miah and I have known each other, what, 7, 8 years?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay, well, let's get started, man.
Right, man.
Okay, what first got you interested in acting? It's been a while, hasn't it?
It has been a while. I actually started acting, I got into acting in high school, which is, I mean, yeah, it's high school acting. You know, but on top of playing, I played 4 sports every year. And I
Did you really?
Yeah, and I was on student government. I also kind of wanted to do this acting thing, so I took one of the drama classes and really liked it. Ended up doing a couple of plays in high school, and decided, hey, I'll join the military for the GI Bill money so I can get school money, because I knew my parents weren't going to be able to afford it. And I'll go study at Portland State. I'll get into acting, and well, then I just kind of fell in love with the infantry and the military, and stayed doing that. And I didn't think I was going to do it. And so as I got back from my first deployment to Afghanistan in 2007, I started teaching ROTC at Portland State, and this.
I remember you telling me about it.
Right, and the Telling Project came to Portland State, and it was basically they took veterans and have them tell their story in a staged setting. How they joined, what they did when they were deployed, and what it was like coming back. And I did that simultaneously.
Like being on the stage?
Oh, I loved it. It was great, and I was like, oh yeah, this is why I love being out on the stage. This is great. And I was at one of my general studies classes, I took a theater appreciation class, and I was initially a history major. And part of this.
You switched?
Oh, I did, yeah. As soon as I took this theater appreciation class, and one of the requirements was you go to 4 plays, and you write a review based on the things that you were studying about in theater at that point. And the first play I went to, I sat there in the audience, and I was like, my God, this is why I love theater. This is what I loved acting. And so history was easy. I figured the acting thing would be a challenge, so I switched to theater arts with an emphasis in performance.
And you actually are still working and are going to get your bachelor's
in
theater arts from Portland State. Is that correct?
Yes, I am. Yeah, hopefully only 4 more terms.
Since you're back now for a while.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, back for, I'm not deploying again.
Right, okay.
I'm done.
4 times is quite a bit.
4 is enough, yeah.
When do you think you'll finally have the degree in your hand?
I'm hoping 4 terms, maybe a year and a half, but I'm at 126 credits right now, so.
Right. So have you trained anywhere else besides Portland State with any of the acting coaches around town?
I've done a lot of my training, my formal training in the theater setting. So I've done that. I've also done a couple of.
You've been on cable access. You did a couple shows on cable access too, right?
Yes.
Okay. Live.
Yeah, and I did the theater stuff for me is actually easier, because I mean you put the time in, you memorize your lines, and then you just let the character go.
Yeah, but I didn't see it, but I heard that you did this monologue that blew people away. It was like 20 minutes long.
Yeah, it was. I played a. Yeah, that
was on live, too.
Yeah, that was actually Archie Washington's.
Archie Washington's,
he
right.
wrote that one, and yeah, it was basically me sitting there at a court-martial hearing, talking to a psychologist, and trying to pretend that the story was this character, this sailor, got caught doing naughty things with another male sailor, and so at that time back in the 90s, but yeah, that was pretty challenging, having to do that 20-minute thing in character, talking to the audience live in front of people. It was fun. It was a good challenge. It was fun.
Right, yeah. We've talked about it, but I'd like you to tell us why you think classically trained actors are doing much better than the local ones. I mean, like with acting coaches instead of going to a classical training.
Right. Well, I think there's a lot to be said for having formal classical training. Not just with, abilities and skills as far as, delivering a performance or building a character, but I mean, classical training also deals with breaking down a script, to create the backstory of a character, to
Yeah.
get at the life of the character.
Yeah.
And it's not always the written things, you know, everyone talks about subtext, but there's a lot of stuff in a script that subtext won't build that character
Okay.
into. And so having the
Yeah.
ability to break that down and come up with a believable story for your character that you can portray during the performance. I don't think you get that from just, you know, acting on camera classes.
Okay. Tell us about your first audition. Are we going to have a fun time with this?
My first audition, the first
Or
thing
your
I
worst
auditioned
audition.
for-
We want to hear about the worst
I
one
can tell you
too.
about my worst audition. So my first and worst were all both for Leverage,
Oh, really?
which I never got a part on, but I did like 8 auditions for Leverage. And the worst one was I was supposed to audition for this part, which required me, and I didn't know this at the time. I'm going through the sides, and I'm supposed to be getting into this little, you know, fight with the main characters, and at some point he knocks me out, and I'm supposed to fall on the ground, and so.
You're not into falling on the ground and being knocked out.
Oh
Is
no!
that-
Well,
I
I'm
know you
not,
do-
but
I know
you
it's for you do it for film, but I know you a little bit better.
Right,
Not
yeah.
in real life.
Right. Well, I mean, I would have done it if I knew that they actually wanted me to, you know, and I'm brand new at this whole auditioning thing, so I'm like reading and going through the lines and yeah, da 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 da. Oh, bang, and then I just keep reading. And the casting director's like, you know, like, what do you fall down? I'm like, so I just like laid down on my side. And it was pretty pathetic. It was bad.
Okay.
It was embarrassing, actually.
What's your favorite character that you played, and why?
My favorite character that I've played.
Is it Jake Darcy? I mean,
I love Jake. I love
got
Jake.
to.
That was. But I actually played. I did a one-act play that was. It was a Coen Brothers one-act play called Waiting, and it's basically it's about this man who dies, and he goes to this waiting room that he believes is purgatory. And he goes around to these different people, different offices, and talks to these people in their, you know, business suits, and they're telling him, oh yeah, you only have to be here for, you know, 750 years, and then you go to heaven. And I played this character called Mr. Sabaticek, who was kind of like the lead middle management demon. And it turns out at the end, you figure out.
Oh, you were the demon.
Yeah, it turns out at the end, you figure out that there is no purgatory. This is hell. We're just screwing with this guy for, you know, 105,000 years or something.
Oh, really?
And it takes place over these segments. But I mean, what I liked about that character was he was such a nice guy. You know, oh, hey, you know what? I'll get these things straightened out for you. Let me see your paperwork real quick.
Oh,
We'll get
you played the nice guy, but
my-
actually you were just a jerk.
I was, you know, and then like I'm the one that breaks it to him at the end that like, oh no, we stopped playing that game like 50,000 years ago. This is hell. It's eternal. Sorry about your luck.
Oh.
And yeah, but it was really fun because I got to do the nice guy and the, you know, reminiscing about the good old days and things like that. And then I break this guy's spirit.
It does sound like it would be a fun role.
It was fun.
Yeah. Well, how do you prepare for a role?
Wow. There's a few things. First, obviously, is going through the script and trying to pick out emotional shifts in dialogue, and figure out what it is that is driving that character to make those emotional shifts.
Okay.
Understanding where the shifts happen in text, for example, kind of sets the backstory as far, like, you know, what are the triggers for this character? What are the things that drive that character? And then from that, I already have a general idea of what the character is supposed to be, right? So if you're playing Coriolanus, you already know he's a Roman general, right? And so with that, I use things like history. I was a history major, so I love incorporating history into, you know, the work that I can do when I can.
Well, the Jake Darcy character, you did an awesome job with that.
Well, it was, well, thank you. That was actually more natural than, you know, it didn't take a lot of...
Tell me what you told me about how you prepared for that one
Okay,
with the drinking
so,
and the
right,
eating.
so, well, I like going to the gym, obviously.
Yeah.
I enjoyed, that's how we went to the same gym
Yeah, that's
for
where we met.
years, yeah. And so I actually stopped going to the gym completely.
That's hard, man.
It was really hard. It was very hard because that was one of the things that kind of keeps me even keel through life. Stopped going to the gym. I started eating really badly. I would go home at night and I would drink and get familiar with. And that was the thing too, is like, you know, they wouldn't give us booze on set, which is a good thing. Okay, don't get that.
Don't give
not
your
suppo-
actors booze.
Don't give your actors booze on set. They made the mistake on the first, like one of the guy that was actually kind of working as a PA. We were at the Blue Monk, and we were doing this scene between me and Mandy, and he thought when they said get him some whiskey that they wanted real whiskey.
Oh, yeah.
I'm drinking this thing, and I'm like, oh, I don't really want to tell anybody, so I'll just keep drinking. And yeah, booze is bad. But no, so I would go home, and in front of the mirror, I would take, a shot to see my natural facial reactions to
Well,
that.
we're going to watch
and,
the trailer. It's going to be fun. We'll watch it.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right.
Have you ever done any bad acting?
I've done absolutely bad acting. In fact.
You don't want to even talk about it, right?
So, well, I don't.
Tell us a funny time.
Okay, so this was funny. I got cast in a one-act play. When we were doing at Portland State, they were doing a one-act festival, and I got cast in the lead position lead part for 2 one-act plays, and I chose this particular one-act play because it was a challenge to me, and the part required me to play a post-op transsexual woman who was a transcendental medium who channeled.
You had to be one ugly woman.
Oh, I was horrible. I looked like my grandma in the Vegas years. It was bad. Yeah, it was bad. But I'm a transcendental medium, and I lure my ex.
Did you have lipstick on?
I had lipstick.
Oh,
I had
my
makeup.
God.
I had a wig. I had a
Big
dress.
blue thick eyeliner?
No big eyeliner, but I did have the mascara, the whole nine, the lipstick, everything. I mean, it was bad. It was really bad. And I lure my ex-girlfriend to the girl that I dated in high school, to this convention so I can channel this demon and then seek revenge on her by killing her for making fun of my small penis in high school. And it was terrible. It was really terrible. I invited my agent to come sit and watch this, and he sat 3 rows back, and I think like 2 or 3 minutes goes by, and I hear this, holy crap, in the audience. And it took him about 3 minutes to realize that was me, because I didn't tell him which one act I was in.
Oh, really?
Well, the problem was the director. We were going through rehearsals.
Okay.
I'm supposed to act, all, flowy and
I just
feminine.
don't see it, man.
It took some work. But so I'm doing the scene, and he's like, "Okay, stop. Listen. You move like a brick, and I really need you to float like a feather. So you're coming over to my house a couple nights a week. I'd go over to his place, and we'd watch."
Take ballet or something, right?
RuPaul's Drag Race.
Okay.
And he'd have me watch women in the park blocks and stuff, and which was
or Darcella's downtown.
He never took me to Darcella's, but it was pretty creepy staring at girls on Portland State.
Okay, yeah. You know what? Right now, I think we're going to take a minute and we're going to watch the trailer from South of Heaven, and we'll be right back.
I see you're feeling better. This broad isn't the helpless creature I rescued. No, she's got fight in her. Some people fall down and curl into a fetal ball when they're hit with the kind of shit this chick has been through. As steady as her hand is, I'd say she's palmed a few heaters in her day. Something tells me I better play it cool, or she's liable to pick a spot just to make a point. Did you get enough sleep?
This was your way out, Jake.
Windows go both ways, Jake. Sounds like somebody's got the hots for you.
Shut up, old man.
You pull those stitches out, you're on your own.
Give me a hand, will ya?
We know you didn't stab the junkie or pop the girlfriend.
This is a true weapon.
I really liked watching that. It was a lot of fun. Jeff did an awesome job with the lighting on that and making you look creepy.
Creepy, yeah.
Yeah, and he did it.
Just haggard,
Haggard, but he did it through the whole film. I saw the whole film. He did it through the whole film.
Yeah.
Here's a question: how did you keep the same 5 o'clock shadow every day?
So,
Because it almost looked the same. I saw the film; it looked the same through the whole film. It's like I wondered that. How did he maintain?
Well, it was hard because so 1 weekend a month I would have duty, and so I'd have to get my hair cut high and tight, head shaved on the sides and just a little hair on top. I'd have to shave. So when I'd go away for duty, it would take me like 3
you
days.
shot this for a long time
Yeah,
too.
yeah. It was a good probably. Well, I know I went to drill twice during that period,
So it was a
month
good
and
2
half,
months. Yeah.
And so I'd have to give him. He'd have to give me like 3 days before we could go back into filming, so I could get the growth back on my face and I could do that. But the makeup artists would have a little razor, just one of those clippers, those trimmers, and they would just keep it, at the same length.
The same
every
length,
day,
huh?
and-
Isn't
yeah.
that awesome? They did a great job at that. So the South of Heaven is a trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
Can you tell us the title of the next one?
The title of the next one is The Long Walk Home. Which
You're
makes
not
it
the one
sound like
walking. You're the one chasing.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah.
Sorry, I
am-
shouldn't
I
give
am
away the
chasing- No,
premise.
no. It's good. It's good. So basically, it's a continuation of the first South of Heaven movie, as Little Sister was a prequel to that one. So it sets up the Jackie character,
Right.
and then we're both in the third movie together.
Mandy.
Mandy, yeah,
Right.
Mandy Stockholm, and it basically continues where the first South of Heaven movie left off. I come to in the hospital, and from there I basically Mandy gets in touch with me, and then this story unfolds from there.
Your character, though, in this film, you're a private detective.
Right.
I mentioned you in the second one. You got to go find
Right.
Jake Darcy.
Right, of course.
But then, your character in the film is not really. He's not an outstanding stand-up kind of. Well, he's kind of the stand-up guy, but he drinks too much. He
Right.
takes drugs.
yeah.
He smokes too much.
Right. Well, in following with the film noir tradition, he is an anti-hero. you know?
Okay.
I mean,
All right,
he's not
good. Thank
he's
you.
not a bad guy, but he's not a good guy.
Right,
but
we wanna
you
cheer
kind of
for
pull
him,
for
but-
him, but
right.
he's got a lot of bad life choices he's made. He's got a lot of bad life habits. I mean, he plays by a not lawful set of rules.
Okay.
But at the same time, he has a code that he lives by, and he is an honorable guy, even though he tries
Yeah,
to
he
drink
is.
it away or booze it away, drug it away,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. But he still has a stand-up guy kind of mentality. I'm going to do the right thing, even though I'm going to do it
Can you tell us a
wrong.
little bit about the long walk?
The Long Walk Home.
Okay, a little bit about the premise.
So Jake ends up basically finding out that little sister, or the sister that
Got
Mandy
murdered.
hires him to find, was murdered.
Mm-hmm.
Well, turns out she already kind of knew that. Anyway, the two of them end up together, basically running away from a corrupt police chief and the underworld crime scene,
Okay.
trying to track down this case. The case is prevalent through the first South of Heaven movie,
Right.
and it's also pretty
So is
important in
Mandy the
third.
film fatale, female
The femme fatale?
femme fatale?
Yes, she is.
Okay.
But she's also that's one of the things
She's
that
not
we're
that
working
fatale.
through. Well, she is very feminine, but at the same time, she's tough.
Strong.
I
Yeah,
mean,
she's
she's
strong.
a killer,
Yeah.
and so there's that entangling of, I guess, I don't want to say role or gender roles or anything like that,
Mm-hmm.
but I mean, she's an ass. Sorry. She kicks some butt,
Okay.
and and she's definitely a good counterpart for Jake, because in this one, Jake kind of basically has nothing left to lose, so he's going on a rampage.
Oh,
And,
okay.
and there's a lot of good action, a couple of good firefights, some roughing people up scenes.
Right,
It's
okay.
yeah.
You act, you produce. Any thoughts, since you're back and you're not going overseas anymore, to do any directing?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
So that was one
Tell
of
us
the,
about that.
So I actually, again, this is along with the formal training aspect of things. I kind of got interested in the idea of directing, but I didn't know what I was doing or how I was going to go about that. So I did take a directing class
At Portland State?
At Portland State,
Okay.
as part of the theater arts program progression towards my degree.
Right.
And I found out that basically it's kind of the same as being a non-commissioned officer in the Army. You're giving clear guidance. You're giving direction. I need this.
And you've done a lot of that.
Right, but the best thing about it is letting and this is one of the things that I really liked about Jeff, was that Jeff Scott Taylor, is that he'll give you the direction, he'll give you the guidance, but he leaves enough room for you to kind of feel your way into it.
Yeah, he does. He does a
And it
great
was-
job as a
and
director.
that's great. And I think it's important because, I mean, you know, guiding an actor specifically step by step through something it's not productive for
No.
the acting process.
No, it's
you know?
not. And you can see it.
Right. And there are some roles where that's required, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So I mean, I'd like to do some directing. I think I'd like to get some more experience under my belt first, though. But
Tell us, how do you think the Portland market has changed over the last few years?
well, I don't know how it's changed last year. I haven't been here.
Well, I mean, the last few years.
That's that's kind of a difficult question to answer.
I just think there's a lot more films being made here. That's
there
for
are.
Sure.
It seems like there's more features being made.
Right.
Whereas, like,
I don't remember
when I
seeing
first-
Jeff 4 years ago or 5 years ago.
No, and I actually met Jeff doing a short project for another director, and he was running sound.
Oh,
You
really?
know? Yeah. I mean, he was doing some
He's been
film
doing films
too,
for a
but, I mean,
long
he's doing it for a
time.
long time, yeah. And he was doing a lot of shorts. 1158, I think, was his first feature.
Yeah, okay.
And that kind of, the experience for that kind of led into South of Heaven.
Right.
But I think I've noticed that people are starting to move away from, there was a lot of short films being made.
They're getting more features.
When I first started, there was a lot more shorts, and now they're moving, directors are starting to move more towards features.
Do you ever feel like giving up?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Yeah, all the time.
But
yeah.
you can't, right?
No, you can't give up.
No,
It's,
I know, you're good.
This
You
is
do a good
just
job, though.
well, I'll get there. So it's, you know, the acting
but we're all,
isn't
you know, you should always still be trying to get there.
Absolutely. Yeah, acting is not a destination.
No.
It's a process. It's a journey, right?
It is.
And
I'm
yeah.
glad you look at it that way.
Oh, absolutely, because you know, it was really difficult getting into it and learning to accept that this is not like the military or, you know, math or science. This is an art.
Or
There's
history.
no if you do A, B, and C, D will happen. You know, you have to literally feel your way through a lot of things.
Sometimes you got to make D happen.
And you have to, yeah. A lot of times you do. You got to find those opportunities to turn corners and open
Right.
doors, and yeah. So I mean, I feel like giving up all the time. I don't even like rehearsing. You know, I definitely don't like auditioning.
And you rehearsed today.
but
Oh, that's right. You
I
rehearsed
did.
today
Yeah.
for the next movie,
Yep.
right?
Yeah, I did, and it was a good rehearsal. It was a good first rehearsal.
I think rehearsals are important, though.
Absolutely, yeah. Especially for film, because I mean, you know, unless you want to sit there and do take after take after take.
It's like
and
you're
feel your way
rehearsing
through it.
there.
Right.
May as well do it in
Yeah,
advance
you
and
might
save
as
a
well
lot
do
of
it in
time.
advance, and yeah.
What's your favorite part of filmmaking?
The end, the finished product.
Is that right?
No.
Do you like to see yourself on the screen?
No, that
You
was
don't?
actually really uncomfortable, believe it or not. What I do like about seeing myself on screen is when I see the finished product, I can look at what
Yeah.
I've done and kind of say, okay, if I was going to do this over again, I would probably tweak that. Don't make that facial
know,
tick, you know, things like that.
I never thought about this, but I was reading in this article one time about filmmaking. And this person said that when a film premieres, the camera guy is looking at his shots,
Right.
the actor's looking at their acting,
Yeah.
the sound guy is examining his sound,
Right.
and the art departments and the costume departments, everybody's looking at their certain part of the
Their
film. So it's
realm,
almost
yeah.
like you got to show the film twice.
Right.
First time, you can examine what you did, then
Yeah.
watch the film.
Yeah, and then so when I was deployed, Jeff actually sent me a rough cut. So it took us like 4 days to download it, but I was able to watch the rough cut over there, and so I did that over there. I
Okay.
looked at I watched it, you know, 3 or 4 times, and was just like analyzing. Oh my gosh, no, don't do that ever again. That was pretty good. Don't make that with your eyes. You know, so I got that out of my system. So when we went to the showing,
yeah.
I was able to just sit there and enjoy the finished product. You
Right,
know, it was
right.
fun.
Okay, good. No, what is your least favorite part about filmmaking?
Least favorite part about filmmaking is the amount of time that you spend sitting
Waiting.
around and waiting.
Yeah.
Which is, it's really hard to maintain any sort of character continuity when there's a 3-hour gap between
Or
you going
longer.
on, or longer. Yeah, and that was with
And here's the
South of
thing is if
Heaven.
you're shooting there over the shoulder and then they have to reset the lighting,
Right.
and you want to have to try to have the same emotional
Right.
level you were at,
Yeah.
and it's an hour and a half later, it's like, okay, where was I at?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And with South of Heaven, because it was very, very traditionally film noir, it was all about the lighting and the shadows, and sometimes it would take 4 hours to get a shot set
You
up.
can tell by watching
to
it.
get the lighting. Yeah, and it was pretty complex. I mean, they've gotten that down really well since then, so it shouldn't take that long. But
It still takes time.
still, when you're waiting 4 hours, and you know, it's the middle of summer, you're wearing a suit and a trench coat and all that.
Yeah, they shot that in summer. I remember it
Oh
was really
God,
hot.
yeah, it was bad. It was bad.
It was really hot. That was like 2 years ago, right?
Yeah, that was 2013.
Yeah, it was 2 years
Yeah.
ago, right? So,
Yeah.
what is your favorite film? Oh, we're losing our tablecloth here.
My favorite film. I've always that was one of the toughest questions you
Is
could
that
have
right?
asked
Okay.
me. Yeah. I've always been a Star Wars fan. Loved
coming out
Star
with a new one
Wars.
here
I
this
know.
summer,
I'm
right?
really interested in seeing this one. I really, really, really like Lawrence of Arabia. Mainly because it's a historical film. I love Glory. I love
Another historical film.
historical film. The Big Lebowski is always going to be one
It's
of my
kind of a
favorites.
historical film.
Sort of, yeah. Yeah.
I think you'd be a great character as a Big Lebowski.
Oh no, I don't think so. Because you know, Big Lebowski. One of the reasons I love that movie is because every time you watch it, you notice something different about the dude, Jeff Bridges' character.
Yeah.
I mean, like at first everyone thinks, oh, he's just some doped up dolt. But then you realize, like, you watch it a couple times, you realize this guy's kind of screwing with people the whole movie, and
Yeah.
it's great. So
What
yeah.
Well, so
that was
what
it.
inspirations did you draw from that? Did you use anything from that to
Yeah,
in your characters for anything?
Not so much for South of Heaven, because I don't think there's a lot. You know, Jake's not a very subtle guy.
No.
Whereas, you know, the dude, there's a lot of subtlety behind what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, one of the things that I really like about characters like the dude, or you know, the things that Jeff Bridges plays in, or like Daniel Day-Lewis, or you know, these guys.
There's a subtlety
There's so
to it,
much going on in their eyes.
but there's a subtlety, right?
That, yeah, I mean, if you can learn to stay in that moment, that's really what they're doing with their eyes. You can see the story playing out in their head, and their whole life going on in their head as they're looking into the camera and delivering their lines.
Out of time here at Portland Film Beat. I want to thank Miah for being here and joining me. I want to thank Ellery Nelson, my director, Carol Pullen, my producer. I want to thank Christo and Krista here at the studio. They help out a lot. I want to thank Kate and Emily down at Portland Community Media. They help me a lot too. Until next time on Portland Film Beat, shoot for the silver screen.